Hello there. Welcome to GitLab Pipeline series part 8. In this series, we are going to learn about how to set up the pipeline for building, scanning, and pushing the images to the GitLab Container Registry. In our previous lesson, we have already discussed about the architecture and the different microservices that included in our online boutique application. Also, we learned how to build the Docker images and push it into the DockerHub Container Registry. We learn how to run those microservices using Docker Compose by using the Docker off and um, Docker Compose off and Docker Compose down to run those microservices simultaneously and access that application. Also, we stop those microservices using Docker Compose down. So that we have already discussed in our previous lesson. So today we'll learn how all these microservices we can build and uh, scan it, also push into the container into the GitLab Container Registry using GitLab Pipeline. So as uh, this application contains multiple of microservices. So for building and pushing those and scanning those microservices individually, we need to create separate repository in our GitLab. Okay, so we have to create mono repo because each in this case we want to build the application and scan the build the microservice, scan the microservice, and deploy into the any cluster uh, independently. So we need it to it need to be in a mono repo. Okay, and in GitLab also for each repo we can add only one pipeline. So for that reason, we need to create a mono repo for each individual microservices. So for that, in the GitLab, you can see I have already created the corresponding mm, projects of the microservices, and I have kept them under a separate group. Okay, so what I did basically, if you go to the groups, here I have created a group called Microservices Demo, and under this Microservices Demo, I kept all these microservices projects. You can see, so these are the different repository or the microservices that is required for our application online boutique. Okay, so here we can see the art service, the card service, and checkout service. All these are different projects, and this I have created under this group microservices demo. Okay, so how we can create is like, if you go here, to create a group, you can simply go to group tab, and here you can create a group. Okay, in that just select group, mention your name, and whether it is a public or public repository or not, we have to select, and you just create a group. Okay, once that is done, you need to create the projects. So in order to create projects, simply you just create new project, and under this uh, create the blank project type, name it what is the name of your microservice. Then under this we have to pick up a namespace. Okay, so it should be, I just told I have created a new group microservices demo and 5452. This will be automatically get appended to the group name. Okay, to make it unique. So sorry, so we have to select, if you want to keep that microservice under this group, we have to select this. Okay, and then you have to select whether you want it for private or public, and create the project. So in my case, I made it everything public so that anybody can access those whatever I have written. Okay, so so what I did basically, I created group because our application contains almost 12 microservices. So that in order to segregate it, I just kept it under a group. So for that, I created the group as microservices demo, and under this I have just created the projects. Okay, so if you see, these are the projects. Okay, and before these projects also I have created, but it is under the name of the different namespace, like Santosh Mahapatra. This is the different namespace, private namespace, but these microservices I kept under microservices demo namespace. Okay, so if you can also access it if you go to the microservices demo, and here um, you have to mention uh, you have to include whatever microservices you want to keep under this group. Okay, so for this lesson, uh, what we did initially, we have created a group, and under that group we have created different projects that respect to each of the microservice. Okay, and each of the microservices, if you go any of the microservices under this repository, you can see we have a uh, the GitLab pipeline as well as the source code. Okay, so the source code, I just kept in each of the, I mean, respective corresponding to this service. I think I have included its source code also. Okay, so as you know, in your previous lab, okay, what we discussed, right? If you go to this, I have projects. You can see I have created a simple microservice here. You can see, yeah. So this microservices, and under this microservices, under, okay, this under source, I have all these microservices. Okay, but since we want to keep monorepo for individual microservices, so what I did, I just create a new project for that microservice, and under that I just included the source code for that service, and created a GitLab pipeline for that. Okay, so if okay, so here, if you go to the project, and under this, for example, art service, you can see we have two things are available. One is the source code and the pipeline. Okay, also, if you see, if you go to the pipeline here, let me access it in my VS Code. So this is one of the service. This is my source code. Okay, and I have this Docker file. Okay, under the source folder, I have the Docker file. This basically used for creating the image. Okay, that I have already explained in my previous lab. And this is the GitLab pipeline. And here, what I did is, basically, since we have multiple, there are almost 11 to 12 microservices, and for each microservices, we need to create, we need to build the image, we need to test the image, I mean scan the image, and then if everything fine, then we have to push it into the GitLab Container Registry or any other registry, like we can push it into the DockerHub Container Registry, or it may be AKS, sorry, in ECR, or um, ACR, or into Google Container Registry. Okay, so we can push anywhere, but in this case, we'll just push it into the GitLab Container Registry. Okay, so in order to make it modular, okay, modular in the sense we have to keep the code non-repeatable. Okay, yeah. I mean, do not repeat the code. So for that concept, what I did, using that concept, what I did, I have created another repository. If you see, uh, if you go to the projects here, okay, again, let's go to the projects. Under these projects, what I did, I have created a share template project. Okay, share template project. Okay, so in this project, it is not a microservice. So what basically I did here is, I just created a template YAML file. Okay, template YAML file, and this template YAML file, you can see it is defined like a Docker build to do this, and Docker scan to do something here. Okay, and Docker test to do something, and Docker push. Okay, so these are some generic code that need to be used by all other microservices, I mean all other projects, to build, test, and push their code. Okay, so in this case, our code will not repeat. What we have to do it is like, this will build the Docker image. Okay, but we need to pass these variables. For example, the registry name. Registry name, it may be your GitLab Container Registry, it may be your DockerHub Container Registry, or it may be your Azure Container Registry. So that we need to pass as a variable, and the image name, what image name we want to keep for that, and the tag of that image, and the build context. Build context is nothing. It is the uh, path of our Docker file. Okay, I'll show you how, what is that actually. Okay, then it will build that image, just show the images, and then it will save that image as the name of image star. Okay, this image, it will store as an image star. Why we are saving it? Because here we have created different mm, job, we can say. Okay, to build and push. See, we are pushing in different job here, we can see. So what it will simply load that image, whatever is already stored here. we saved it as a image tab, then in this tab it will simply load it and push into the uh, content registry. Okay, so for that reason, if you remember in my um, lab number 4, in that case I was building and pushing the image in the same job. Okay, so in that case I do not want to save it as a tar image. Okay, but in this case I want to keep it more specific. I mean, segregate the jobs. Okay, like a build job and test job and post job. Okay, for that reason I'm just what I'm doing is I'm saving it as an image, tar image. And similarly for scanning also, you can see I'm using the name here. Okay, if you see whatever path we have to provide what you want to uh, export and the image name. Okay, so these are we will pass from the um, respective microservice GitLab pipeline. Okay, I'll explain all these things when we'll discuss about the respective microservice pipeline. Okay, so this basically scan this, and test is nothing. It's you simply try to print that image. Okay, load it and print the or display whether that image got created or not. Okay, and Docker push, it will push the Docker images. Okay, to the respective container registry. Okay, so let's go to the VS Code here. You can see the share template is something like I have just created here. This is not a pipeline, it is a template. It's simply a YAML file. You can name it any whatever name you can give here. It is not restricted like you have to put dot GitLab hyphen CI, something like that. Okay, you can give a name, and here you have to mention dot docker build. Okay, some um, template name you have to give here, and you can specify. So here we have um, created multiple templates. You can see this is one docker build template, and here this is docker scan, this is for, and this is for docker test. Okay, and this is for docker push. Okay, so this is the YAML file, that is some generic code that we can include in our parent pipeline, in Microsoft parent pipeline. So if you go to this, one of the parent pipeline is suppose, for example, the art service, and in this case here this is .gitlab -ciml. This is the main pipeline for this microservice, and for this, in order to use those template, whatever we have defined in this case, in this is a new project share template, and under that we have this template file name. Okay, so in order to include that, we need to mention this include. The project name is microservices this. So see, this is my group name. We have to specify the group name, and remember you have to specify this ID as well, otherwise it will not work. Where you can get it, I'll tell you how you can get it. Like whenever go to this project, okay, and whenever you can create, right, suppose new project, and go to this, and when you're speaking this uh, project name, you can see here microservices demo. Simply don't give the name of the group. You have to mention this full name, microservices hyphen demo, with this extra ID whatever is mentioned here, postfix number here. Okay, so you have to give that full name here, otherwise simply if you put demo not this, right, then it will not work. Okay, so we have to put that, and the project name where this template is available. So first is the group name. Okay, and then mention the uh, name of the project in which the templates is available. Then the file name, I mean this file name, what is the file name of that project where our different templates are available here. Okay, so this these things. So project name you have to space, in which you have to specify the namespace. Okay, the group and the name of the project. Then the file name of the project. Then the reference, which branch it should include. It will refer the main branch. You can specify any other branch if you want. Okay, so that we need to include. Then sorry. So here I am using 3 stages: build for building the Docker image, test for scanning the Docker image, and push for pushing the Docker image into the container registry. Okay, now I have created in the main pipeline, I have created a just one job build AD service image job. Okay, and here I have extends this .docker build. Okay, so what is this .docker build? It is nothing. It is whatever in this file it is defined. This one, this section. Up to this it will include. I think it is clear. Okay, so here it includes the file, what is the file, and this include the exact template what it is going to be include for this job. So what it will do, it will simply replace this code, whatever the code is defined here, right? This much code, it will be just added in this job. So extends, okay, that means it's a, this part code is, it will be available here. Okay, and then the stage will be build, it belongs to this build stage. And here what we have to do is nothing we have to write, because we have already included our code here. That is nothing. This is the section of code that it will do. Okay, what is image it should use, and this services docker, and docker in docker, okay, service it will use. Okay, and uh, it will do all these things. Some scripts it will execute, and these scripts basically use these variables. Okay, so what I mean, I'm just passing these variables from my parent uh, pipeline. Okay, so what are the pipeline? Sorry, variables. One is the image name. That is my image. I'm creating image for my art service. So I'm just passing the name should be art service, and the tag should be 1.0.0. That also I'm passing. The build context is dot slash src. I mean, build context is nothing where my Docker file is available. So my Docker file is available under src folder, because this pipeline will read this, download this um, repository, and not this, sorry, it will download this src repository. Under this we have a source folder, src folder, and under this my Docker file is available. For that, I just mentioned here this build context, and that it is nothing. It will put dot hyphen src, where it will put here whenever building this part, right? It is nothing dot slash src. Okay, so while we are building the image, we have to mention the path, right? So that is nothing. Is to build context. Yeah. So, and the registry name. It is nothing. We are using our um, GitLab Container Registry. So I need to pass that GitLab Container Registry. But if I want to use DockerHub or ACR Container Registry, then we have to pass the registry name. It will be different. We have to pass the different. So I made it generic. Okay. So only defining your container registry path here. Okay. Anyway, this will be same. Image tag, again it will vary, and name. These are all same, but we can change this container registry if you want to deploy into any other uh, container registry type. Okay, but here again, in that case, we need to change the login also. Like here, if we see, uh, I am doing yeah. So if you want to for when pushing that, right, I'm just logging into that. Here it is logging into the GitLab Container Registry, but in that case, it should log into the DockerHub Container Registry or ACR Container Registry. Okay, so that we need to again while pushing to the other container registry, we'll see how we can change this code. Okay, yeah. So that's all about like how we can simply here we created our build job for AD service, and we just extend it to our template. Okay, that it will do the job for building the Docker image, and these are the parameters or variables. You simply pass it to that template. It's very simple, right? Okay, and because and this code it will be same for all other services as well, but only the name will be, the service name will change. Okay, and if you want to change this image tag, that is fine, but only the service name have to change, but everything will be simply remain same. For example, if you go to any other project here, for example, let me go to, this is ad service. Okay, I have shown you ad service, but suppose cat service you want to go and you want to see this file, right? Here this is for cart service. Okay, and I'm just passing the image name cart service, but everything will be remain same. Okay, so it is most generic, and we are utilizing the template. Okay, so since we are in some projects, it may be some hundred of microservices will create, right? So for that we will not repeat everything. So how we did in our lab 4. Okay, so instead of doing that, we can create a generic template, and we'll use that generic template in accessing in our individual microservices. Simply we'll pass our parameter. Okay, whatever parameter required, and it will do the job for us. Okay, so that I have done, and I think it is clear now. I mean, for individual projects. So if you see right here, I have all these projects in my source code. We can see these are all the separate projects uh, in my local folder. That is, I have cloned, and in lab we can. I have already shown you. These are the different projects under the group. These are the projects, and if we go to group, we can also see these are all projects available. Okay, and for each job, if you go in any project, we can find we have the source code as well as its GitLab pipeline. Okay, now if we go to any of this, for example, when you go to this, right, I have already executed the pipeline. If you go to the pipeline, you can see this is the pipeline that already created, and you can see here the build stage as a build uh, load generator image. It will create the um, image for the uh, log generator microservice. Then it will uh, scan the container. Okay, if you go inside, right, you can see it will scan that image here. You can see it has some medium vulnerabilities. Okay, medium vulnerabilities. So that's fine, but you can check if we still you want to restrict it. You can just modify this code. If you see this code, if template, yeah, the severity, right? I just mentioned medium. Okay, if it is medium, if you want to fail it, uh, uh, you can mention your severity here, medium, high, or critical. Okay, depending on that, you have to check it. Okay, then so this way it will scan it. Then okay, so if it is success, okay, it's success on success, then only our we are going to push the image to the container. Okay, so it will build first, then it will mm, scan the image and check the image available, and then it will post, because I have made here the dependency. If you see any one of these microservices, for example, you could go to this microservice, this one, you can see I have mentioned the, okay, for scanning, right, I made it needs build archive image. So once this is done, then only this job will start. Okay, okay, if it fails, then it will not going to start this job. Okay, so this way, and the push should be needed. This should be execute, and this should, and also this test. Okay, so then only at the end it will should push everything. If the build is success and the scanning is success, then it will push into the content registry. Okay, so that way it is pushed already. And if we go to the deploy, right, content registry, you can see our Docker image for this load generator is available. Okay, it is published 4 hours ago. Okay, it is already done. Suppose you want to do it again. You want to go to this projects. For example, let's go to the project. Under project, let's go to this ad service. Okay, advertisement, the service, advertisement service. So in this case, suppose you want to run the pipeline again. Let's see how it the jobs are getting executed. New pipeline, just manually I'm trying to run it. Now you see, it will start the build. Let's try to build the art service image first. Then it will, once this is done, then it will try to scan the image. Then it will test it. If both are success, then it will post the Docker image. Okay, it will take few minutes to do that. Okay, if you want to go inside, you can see it's waiting for the runner. Okay, it will take few minutes to do that. So yeah, as you see, right, this is already done. This same thing it will execute in sequence, like first build the image, then scan the image, then paste, then post into the registry. Okay, so this all about uh, how we can create the monorepo for the individual microservices, then create a shared template, and that template will access in our individual microservices pipeline to reuse the code and make it modularized, and no need to to avoid the repeating of the same code for each of the microservices pipeline. Okay, so this way we can create our pipeline. Uh, so how it build, scan, and push into the content registry. So next step, what we're going to learn is next step. What we need to learn is like we try to create the manifest file for each of the microservices. Okay, and then we'll try to deploy those manifest file into local orchestrators like tools like Minikube or Kind, and we'll see how we can access our application. We'll see what are the different parts. Uh, we'll create the deployment and the service YAML files. Then using kubectl tool, we have to deploy it, and then we'll access our pods and we'll access our services and browse our application. So once that is done, then we'll go to cloud. We'll just try to set up our infrastructure, I mean AKS cluster, using the GitLab pipeline. Then once that infrastructure pipeline ready and we deployed our AKS cluster, then we'll try to deploy these microservices into the Azure AKS. Okay, so that way we'll do the next step. Then we can again try to use Helm to deploy our microservices. Then we can try to use the customize. Okay, use customize to manage our microservices. Later we'll try to use the GitHubs like Argo CD or Flux. Okay, so those things will in future we'll learn how we can do using the same microservices. We'll try to do at the end. We also try to use our SSL certificate. Okay, we'll create a domain and a certificate from a certificate provider, and we'll try to integrate it to our, into our application to access it in secure way using HTTPS. Okay, uh, yeah, that's so you see here it is now done. Build is done, scanning is done, and now it is trying to push. Okay, if you go to this, right, you can see it will try to push the image to the container registry. So where it will try to push into this container registry. Okay, so here for each project it will each project has its own container registry. Okay, so it will push into its respective container registry. Now it is done. I think if you go to the container registry, you can see here, and inside here, if you just go inside, you can see published 25 seconds ago. Okay, just now it is published. Okay, yeah, so that's all about today's lesson. So next lesson we'll try to create the manifest files for each of the microservices, and we'll try to run it using the local orchestrator tools like Minikube or Kind, and try to access our application. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like this, then just share it to your colleagues and friends, and subscribe to the channel for my next tutorial.